Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Cooper, known as the Channel Guy Trader, and I am reporting to you live from Wall Street Trading Satellite Office down in sunny South Florida. Today's date is Wednesday, November the 14th, 2012, and here is today's After the Bell Market Summary. Want to first start off by taking a look to see how the indices close here. The Dow Jones closed down 185.23 points. The Nasdaq closed down 37.08. The S&P 500 closed down 19.04. If we take a look at these three indices, the weakest one was the Dow Jones, which was down 1.45%. If we take a look at the breadth, we had 5,231 issues declining. We had 1,042 issues advancing. So after having a big breadth down day, over here on Monday, I believe it was, we had that breadth to the downside on Monday. No, not Monday, on Thursday. Okay, Thursday last week, if you can see this day here, on the 8th, November 8th, we had that little big down day on Thursday. All right, so we had a lot of negative breadth there. Then again, these past 3 days, we've been having just kind of like 3-to-1 breadth in favor of the Bears, or 2-to-1, or kind of close here and there. You guys can go back to the videos and see kind of the breadth that we've been calling out here at the end of the day during the After the Bell Market summaries. And what you can see now is breadth's kicking back up a notch here in favor of the Bears, and we have a 5-to-1 ratio in favor of the Bears to the downside. So again today, heavy selling across the board, lack of leadership. Some earnings stocks that are coming up are holding their gains pretty decent. Cisco had some earnings that held them there pretty well today. A&F, we called that one in the chat room for a point trade in the afternoon session. That one worked out pretty well. So you have some trades that you could take here and there to the long side, but in general, most of the stocks are moving to the downside. I mean, we're not seeing any leadership at all in any sectors, and it just seems like there's total liquidation going on right now across the board, and especially in these key stocks. So let's go and take a look at the market here. See what levels we're watching on the SPY and the ES. And right here on the SPY, you can see here we are right at this key level that we had from this little candlestick before we had this big gap up here. That low of that candlestick is 135.58. We hit that low today and got a bounce. We hit a low today of 135.62, so we got a bounce right in the area. However, one thing I wanted you guys to see is that we have a gap fill that's all the way down here at 134.25. Call it 134. So I would not be surprised if we have another down day tomorrow to fill this little gap that we have down here, and then we have to see what happens. But right now, if we break below today's lows around 135.62. Look for a move down towards 134.25, and some resistance levels we have to worry about now. If we rally back up, I would assume we could rally back up towards 136.64. And if we were to get a real bounce, we could rally back up towards, say, 137, 137.76. However, I do think that we continue selling more tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. Now, we did have a nice bounce, in the morning part of the session. We did have a nice little bounce that took place around 11 o'clock once the markets were done selling, but that formed a bear flag on the 5-minute chart. You can see it. You can see it cleaner on the 5-minute chart. That formed a bear flag. Then after that, we just kind of traded sideways here. I could bring this over here. This is the ES, by the way. And, during the midday market update, which you guys can see on the YouTube channel, we do a little midday market update to kind of get everybody prepared for the afternoon session of what we see going on here. And I mentioned we had this little bear flag here, and that usually was a signal for lower prices. We traded sideways. We were not able to rally, and they cracked the market here. And once we broke below 1360 around the 3 o'clock, we started seeing some selling pressure increase in the market, and the negative breadth really turned to the downside. So, I mean, just got to be careful. Right now the market's a downtrend. Don't try to be a hero and buy the dip, because right now the buy the dip crowds, you may be getting a bounce, but if you get that little bounce, you have to take it. You can't just let it, hope that it's going to go back up to break even, or, I mean, not break even, but you can't hope that the market's going to get a bounce all the way and then go rally all the way to new highs like sometimes we know it's due. So therefore, be nimble, be quick, and that's how the SPYs are looking. Now let's take a look at the ES real quick. Had some good stuff coming up on the channel system. Obviously, you guys can see here we broke down out of this channel, and we broke down below this key level down here of this little support level, which I've been highlighting. That's definitely been causing some selling pressure, and we got that crack today. And one thing that's pretty interesting, we have some decent support down here at 1344 based on my channel analysis. And if we don't hold below 30, we don't hold 1344, then we should have some nice support around this 13, kind of like this little 1340 price zone. So, obviously, it's kind of hard to get short the market down here. And if you're not getting short the market, you're not getting paid right now. So you got to just really pick your spots right, take your quick trades here and there. It's kind of tricky to get short the market down here because you don't want to get caught in a rip your face rally that could happen if they would get some nice little dip buyers or some news was to come out. That's a tricky thing. That's why a lot of people right now are kind of confused because they're trying to buy the dip and they're missing the short opportunity because they don't want to short. But you got to get on the right side of the trade and respect what the market's doing. In any case, let's take a look at the triple. So for the ES to the top side, you want to be watching maybe a rally up towards 1358, this 1360 level is a possible opportunity to short because right now the rallies are being shorted. So if you open up a couple handles down tomorrow morning, don't look to short the open. Wait for a rally to see if they try to short that rally like they've been doing here. So let's take a look at the triple Qs here. A triple Qs closed down 74 cents, down 1.17%, closing at 62.24. You take a look at the triple Qs, you can see here we're coming right into this key area around the 62 level. If we break and hold below 62, you're going to be looking for a move down here towards 61.50. And the Qs has a gap fill around this. There's a gap fill in the Qs around this 61.12 area. So make sure you be on the lookout for that right there. Let's take a look at the IWM. IWM got that one little confirmation close below that little downward channel right there, and it's been moving lower since. You can see that one's filled this little gap that I have right here around the 76.80 level. However, if we continue to get some more selling, look for a move down towards 76.26. One way you can play that is via TZA. You can see TZA had a nice little move up today, and it's breaking above the moving average right there. That's just one trade. That's one way to trade it. Now let's take a look at the volatility index, the VIX. We're still looking to see if that VIX is going to get a move over this level right here. A trigger. A move over 20 will set definitely a buy trigger on this index here, on the volatility index, and we can see a nice little breakout in volatility, and we can see the market sell off pretty nasty. I'm going to be honest with you guys. All right. That's if we start holding above, better yet, if we start holding above 19 to give an early signal before, that would be this ideal scenario. You can see right now we're trading in a range between 16.02 and 19, little $3 range in the VIX. And if this resolves to the top side, we're going to see the volatility spike up. We're going to see the markets continue to keep on selling as fear is starting to creep back in the market. That's what that's telling us right there. Let's take a look at the dollar futures. Now, the dollar futures, if you guys recall, I talked about the dollar futures being in a rising wedge on the hourly chart. All right, let's take a look at that hourly chart again right here for you guys. And you can see what happened this morning. We broke down out of the little hourly wedge here, and the market started selling off. The dollar started selling off a little bit on the open. So we had some little strength. We had some early morning strength across the board, and some of the commodity stocks, the euros trading strong a little bit this morning as well. Gold had a nice little pop up, when we got this little sell off right here. And what happened was that we had this little, the break below the trend line. You can see what happened right here, but you can see we keep on checking the underneath trend line here, the bottom trend line, but underneath it. So right around 11 o'clock or so, that's when we rechecked it again right here. We got rejected. And that's when the market got a bounce. So therefore, the dollar sold off. The market got a bounce at 11 o'clock. But then what happened? As soon as the dollar started selling off again below our little key proprietary channel we have right here, take a look at this, guys. We sold off, the dollar sold off, and it bounced exactly to the T off this little channel right here. And we were able to recapture back above this key trend line, which you can see it's key because we're basically consolidating the range now. So we could have trapped some people that were trying to get short the dollar and long commodities. Either way, a lot of the commodities faded off that little morning pop that they had at 11 o'clock. Dollar futures faded off. Crude oil is actually hanging in there a bit, but it has to do with some of the news coming off from overseas with the Hamas military leader guy getting killed. That's pretty crazy stuff over there anyways. That's a different story. So anyway, if the dollar could stay below this level right here, where you can see before we had this nice little bull trap right here on the dollar. If the dollar could stay below this 81.22 level or so, we can maybe get a move down and see these commodities bounce, see the market start to bounce. However, if we break back over 81.22, and we take out this little kind of high right here around 81.32, and we can come back inside the wedge, that could be ideal for some people getting trapped to the short side on the dollar on this little fake bear wedge, rising wedge pattern that usually results to the downside. But if it traps you and goes back to the top side, people are going to get squeezed. So a lot of interesting things taking place here at the moment. If we take a look at the euro dollar chart, the euro USD, you can see the euro has got a little bounce here off the bottom line of our channel. But even the euro is at a key area because this thing does not get a respectful bounce and it starts trading down lower. We break this little lower key trail and we start holding below here. We're going to get some ugly selling pressure in the euro, and something's boiling right now. And it has to do with maybe some news that's waiting to come out there to hit the markets that's causing this little fear to creep back in the market. And we really don't know what it is. We just know that the market's not having a lack of leadership, not really trading pretty well, and fear is starting to set in a little bit into the market as these dip buys are starting to get a little bit burned when you're trying to buy that dip. Now, what's going to happen now is when maybe if the market continues to sell, we're going to get to the scenario where the dip, where you don't even get that dip buy opportunity, where you get that little dip, it hits a support line, it bounces for 1 minute, 5 minutes or so, then it just continues to sell. I mean, that's if we have some really heavy selling pressure. Today we were able to get that little meaningful bounce for the little bear flag setup, but and then we traded sideways for most of the day. But usually, if the markets really start selling, you're gonna get that little bear flag setup, then continue selling, bear flag setup, then continue selling. We haven't seen that quite yet, but that could happen if that volatility index spikes up and we just get some more selling pressure. So anyway, let's take a look at crude oil. Crude oil had a nice little bounce today. However, it's still holding up pretty well, but it's still below this 88 level, and it's still below this 88.50 level. If we can get crude oil back above 88.50, one thing you want to make sure of that you see here is this nice little downward channel that's in play. And if that downward channel was to break to the top side, we could get a nice move back in crude up towards the $93 level there. And maybe there's some news that's going to come out that's going to propel this thing higher. We have to wait and see. If we stick in this little downward channel, then we're going to continue to consolidate sideways and most likely make another move lower, as at least path of resistance is still to the downside. Let's take a look at gold via the GLD. Gold via the GLD, you can see here, little flag action that could be taking place right here. This nice little gap down. This was a little shake and bake action they did when they suckered a lot of people trying to buy gold right here. This little kind of consolidation base got it down, they bought it right back up. So up move, sideways consolidation. If the dollar does get weak and breaks out that little bear wedge, rising bear wedge, then we can see this GLD pop up. And right now it's just a lot of mixed signals in the market. A lot of mixed signals in the market. So that's what that's looking like here. Let's take a look at a couple of key stocks before I close the video out here. And you can take a look at Apple. Apple is continuing to break down here. It has some support around this 530 level. Then we have this little 520, 185 level. I will not be surprised if Apple breaks down and suckers in some shorts that were trying to sucker in some longs that have been trying to buy this dip down here in this area. So therefore, if Apple breaks below this low that we made the last Friday, below 533.82, look for a move down towards 521. You can see here kind of how it's kind of forming like a little descending triangle a bit there. You can see how it's trying to just chop around this little area off this little down move. So Apple looks to go lower. We'll see if that happens. So Amazon's still kind of hanging in this little support zone for this little gap up right here. We're above it, so it's kind of support. We do have a rising 200-day exponential simple moving average right here coming around the 219.44 level, call it 219.50. We'll have to see what happens here, but if the market continues to sell off, Amazon's going to go down with it. A lot of people are talking about the fiscal cliff, and it kind of makes sense that a lot of people are maybe selling these high flyers to make sure they lock in that profit so they can get they don't get taxed at a higher rate by selling their gains and collecting that capital gains, counting that capital gains for next year, since taxes may be going higher. Which most likely they are going higher. So we'll see how that plays out. But you're seeing a lot of these high beta stocks that have been making nice returns sell off. Baidu continues to get some selling pressure. We called Baidu as a short yesterday at 103. Obviously, we're not in it right now anymore. But look, you see this one's getting some nice continued selling pressure on high volume. You want to be watching Cena as well. Cena has earnings tomorrow after the bell, I believe. Here, let's take a look. Cena has earnings tomorrow after the bell. Keep an eye on Cena. And you can take a look at the other Chinese stock, Sohu, which has been trading to the downside as well. And this one looks a little bit interesting because it's coming into this little downward channel. So if it holds this little back test area in this right here, we can maybe get a pop-up. If not, this thing's going to sell off below this little low right here. If it breaks below 37.50, look for this thing to fade all the way back down towards 36. And look for this to have been like a little rally that they took the opportunity to short and a trap. All right, what else we want to take a look at here? Goldman Sachs, the banks. The Goldman Sachs is hanging in there. We still have the 200-day moving average right below it. Still has some support in this area, but that looks to go lower along with the rest of the market here. If the market continues to act weak, you're going to see these stocks break back below this 20-day moving average. I mean, you can see Bank of America. Bank of America got a lot of people suckered in long that were trying to buy for a breakout over 10. You can see this one looks like it wants to go back there to that 200-day moving average around 844. And just in general, take a look at the BKX index. If you guys recall my previous video, I talked about the fact how if we do not hold this 48 level on the BKX, we're going to be falling back below my key trend line for my channel system, or my channel analysis here, and you can see we have had that happen so far, and we're back below it. We're back at the 200-day exponential moving average on the BKX, and the longer we hold below 48 now, the more we could fade. You can see this was this little channel that we had right here before we broke out. All right, and that support level from that channel is going to be down here around 46. So if we have some more continued selling pressure tomorrow or early this week, I want to see if we're going to hold this 46. If we hold this 46, we could maybe start looking for some buying opportunities if the market gets a bounce and this BKX is lined up at 46 and some of these financial stocks. So aside from that, guys, be careful out there. It's a crazy environment. It's a lot of mixed signals. You do have your hit and misses here. Breadth is still in favor of the bears, and they are attacking in full force. Continue to watch the dollar, watch crude oil. Let's see if this gold tries to get a pop up, and that's about it, guys. Have a great night. Catch you guys bright and early tomorrow morning in the chat room at 8:15. If you're interested in trading with our firm, or you're trading with a firm and you're looking for better commission rates, if you're a prop trader, you contact me via email at ccooper@wallstreettrading.com. If you want access to the chat room, make sure you go to wallstreettrading.com and fill out the form on the upper right-hand side, guys. A lot of great stuff going in the chat room today. A lot of stocks that we're hitting on the right side, and we're managing our risk pretty well in the chat room as well. So have a great day, guys, and I'll catch you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Later.